Ansari. I now recognize Mr. Higgins for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The line of questioning here for our panelists, and we appreciate them all being here, conservative and liberal alike. The line of questioning from my Democrat colleague, essentially attacking the Republican position and President Trump's administration willingness to embrace this generational issue of the failure of our education system. That's out of line. It's very clear for every American that has rubbed two brain cells together over the course of the last 50 years, Mr. Chairman, that the funding that we have dumped into education at the federal level has not resulted in excellent results for our kids. And the expense is tremendous. When I started college in 1979, the tuition for a year at LSU was $1,500. Tuition for a year now at LSU is $12,000. So there was, and books were $100, $200 a semester. We bought used books. As far as living expenses, you know, shelter and food, the cost of life, you had that expense if you were in college or not. It's not intellectually sound to say that's a cost of education. You have to pay your rent, you have to buy your groceries, whether you go to college or not. So we managed. Very few students back then had student loans. And the value of that education was tremendous. It was almost guaranteed you were going to get a better job, better paying job if it was your decision to go through college. But the difference was the expense of college was so low, the value so high, and the culture of our country produced young American citizens that made choices with their families to go into a four-year education degree or not, because we had been well prepared to decide not to go to college. Beginning in the 7th grade, across the country in public schools, young Americans were trained with a trade. In Louisiana, we learned agriculture, carpentry, auto repair, mechanics, welding, equipment operation, timber and logging. And interestingly, parliamentary procedure. We were expected as young Americans to learn a trade and have found a sweet spot as a young American. By the time you graduated high school, you better be able to go to work, and you better understand parliamentary procedure. You have to understand your Constitution, your founding documents, because you were expected to participate in society. Like, this was our country. This was the way our education system plugged into our communities and our citizenry for generations, until we got so wise at the federal level and so unionized throughout our education system that we decided that that's it. You have to have a four-year degree, and it's going to cost more and more and more. Now we're crippling young Americans with debt for degrees that they don't use, and in many cases, when they do get the degree, they come out of school, have to interview for a job with somebody that never went to college because that's going to be their supervisor. So we have to address this. We have to train our young people. Mr. Mitchell, if we shifted back to the way we did things before, what would happen for young Americans in our country?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question and for the information about what our education system used to set our children up for. And I think you are right to acknowledge that we have become too fixated on four-year college degrees today. One of the things that I believe school choice actually helps with is showing families that there's a menu of options for their students. Because what we know, and I know this as a parent of 3 girls, there is range and diversity even among the daughters in my own household. They have different interests, they have different affinities and talents and skills. It would be crazy to think that the exact same path is going to work for each one of them. So we've got to have an environment where we are allowing families to access a pathway that best meets the needs of their unique children. For some kids, that's going to be college. For some, it can be college. It can be career, maybe getting into the trades, as some of the other witnesses up here have discussed. Graduating high school with certifications that allow you to get right into the workforce is a tremendous thing, and means that you don't have to go into debt pursuing a degree that you may not be interested in the first place. And choice really opens up the aperture, widens the aperture so that families have options.
I thank you for that answer, and I appreciate the indulgence, Mr. Chairman. I yield.